On this day in 1957, Celtic beat Rangers 2-0 in a Scottish Cup replay at Ibrox after a 4-4 draw at Celtic Park. With only one victory at Ibrox since before the war, few gave Celtic much of a chance when they headed to the home of their ancient rivals on the 20th of February 1957 for a Scottish Cup 6th round replay. They had led 4-2 going into the last 9 minutes at Celtic Park on the 16th of February, but a combination of defensive blunders and, let's just say, eccentric refereeing allowed Rangers to level. With 83 minutes on the clock, a half-hearted Rangers punt into the penalty box was met by an equally half-hearted jump by Rangers forward Johnny Hubbard. But to general astonishment, referee Jack Mowat adjudged centre-half John Jack to have barged into him and pointed to the spot. Hubbard converted the penalty himself, then 2 minutes later, Jack was hopelessly short with a pass back and Max Murray took full advantage to level the tie with 5 minutes remaining. The Glasgow Herald, in its preview of the replay on the 20th of February, wrote, "One can hardly hope for a repetition of the first game, but if today's play is only half as good as Saturday's, there will be no complaint. Rangers, the taller, heavier side, will, I think, be less happy on a firm pitch than Celtic, but if there is a thaw and the pitch becomes heavy, then Rangers will be strong favourites." Despite the match kicking off at 3 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon, 88,000 spectators turned out as Celtic lined up Beattie, Hockney, Fallon, Evans, Jack, Peacock, Higgins, Fernie, McPhail, Mochan, Collins. The pitch was heavily sanded, but conditions seemed to favour the home side, the Evening Times reporting on the 20th of February 1957. As Rangers mounted the first big attack, the cold turned to rain and a grey wetting smear began to turn the sand to mud. Rangers employed a robust approach and the Glasgow Herald and Evening Times saw the referee's handling of the situation differently. Ger Henderson reported in the Evening Times on the 20th of February, "A foul by Simpson on Fernie brought a lightning reprimand for Mr Mowat, who was clearly going to have no peace disturbers on the field." The Glasgow Herald's special correspondent, by way of contrast, wrote on the 21st of February, "Almost from the start, several Rangers players indulged in coarse tackling. Even after Simpson had his name taken in the 28th minute, there was no improvement. The referee had a most difficult job. His early attitude seemed to be that he was making allowance for the state of the pitch, and that if there was any sign of a player's having committed an infringement because of the treacherous conditions, which frequently caused men to fall long before the ball was in their vicinity, the offence would be adjudged unintentional. Latterly, however, Mr Mowat became a victim of his own planning. Rangers players committed far worse fouls than that for which Simpson had been cautioned, and escaped with a mere spoken reprimand." Celtic took the lead on 15 minutes through John Higgins, a very talented player whose career was seriously hampered by injuries. The Glasgow Herald reported, "Both he and Baird stumbled as the winger cut in, but Higgins kept his feet and with his left foot shot low but not hard. Niven misjudged his downward movement for the ball and succeeded only in touching it against a post from which the ball crawled agonisingly for Rangers over the line." Higgins had not played particularly well in the first match, but he made up for it at Ibrox, as did John Jack. The Glasgow Herald reported, "Rangers appeared to think that they could cause panic in the Celtic defence with the long high kick up the centre, but Jack, and I mention him in particular in view of his errors in the first game, was not to be tempted into rashness or nervousness. The centre-half was a model of efficiency. He, Fernie, Evans and Collins were magnificent players in a fine team." 10 minutes from half-time, Neil Mochan put Celtic 2 ahead, lashing the ball with his left foot on the half-volley just under the crossbar from the edge of the area. There was no further scoring in the second half, mainly because of a series of great saves by Niven in the Rangers goal, in a second half marked by increasingly brutal challenges by Rangers players. The Glasgow Herald reported, "The shocking climax came when Higgins, 5 minutes from time, was flattened by a bull-like rush by Shearer just as he was about to shoot well inside the penalty area. If the penalty kick awarded against Jack on Saturday was a penalty kick, and I for one had no doubt that it was. This tackle was worth a dozen, yet none was given. It was not Mr. Mowatt's day. Possibly after having had time to sleep on it, Ger Henderson in the Evening Times of the 21st of February had changed his mind about Mr. Mowat. Fernie and John Higgins were the chief victims, and although referee Mowat did not allow one incident to go unpunished by a free kick and a whole series of stern words to the players involved, it was astonishing that he took no more severe action. The more things change. Celtic's fine victory at Ibrox made them firm favourites for the Scottish Cup and their fourth successive final appearance, but they went on to lose in the semi-final to Kilmarnock after a replay. Kilmarnock then lost the final again after a replay to Falkirk, and the referee for the Scottish Cup final that season, J.A. Mowat, Burnside.